I'm Kiera Morgan. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Kiera. We're sponsored by The Human Bean in Newport and Lincoln City. And today I am here talking with Dr. Lesley Ogdon. She is the CEO for Samaritan Hospitals in Lincoln County. Hi.
Hi.
It's so good to see you and do this again. We were just saying it's been a little while and it's time to catch up.
It is. It has been a little while, and I think COVID threw us off our schedule, right? But now we're back on.
We are. So for those who don't know, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Lesley Ogdon. I am the CEO of the two coastal hospitals in Lincoln County, Samaritan North Lincoln Hospital in Lincoln City and Samaritan Pacific Communities Hospital in Newport. And I started out my gig here as an ED physician, actually came right out of my residency and worked in the emergency department and gradually worked my way up into administration. And here I am just taking care of the people in Lincoln County just a different way.
Well, and what's really great is I think that not everyone realizes that you are an actual doctor as well. So you have that understanding of that aspect of the hospitals too, right?
Right, exactly. The people I've cared for over the years know me. I still have people coming up to me going, "Do you remember when you took care of me? Look at my scar, or look at what, whatever. Look how well I healed." And it is so nice still that people remember, because that was meaningful to me as well, that I got to care for people in that way. Now I just care for all 50,000 of us and try to figure out the best way to deliver care.
A little jump in your
jump.
Was it difficult doing the transition from doing doctor work to administration? What was that like for those who may be interested in following that path?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that was most different for me was I dealt with problems that were, number one, very personal, right? It was a doctor-patient relationship. We tried to solve those problems in maybe minutes to hours. And hopefully we got to a conclusion and got the patient the care they needed. I find in administration, it's much more strategic. Some of our projects last years, especially when we talk about from conception of a project, if you have any construction or facility needs, all the way to fruition. It's just a different, much longer process. And for someone who's used to things going very fast, that's been the biggest adjustment for me, is slowing my roll and just being able to navigate, that different time frame.
And let's talk about how things are going for the hospital post-COVID. The things are going well at Samaritan Pacific Communities Hospital with a bit of a flooring hiccup.
Yes, exactly. The flooring hiccup, right? What happened there was after the construction was completed, we noticed that the floors all over the hospital were, especially in the most traveled areas, were bubbling up and sort of then that became an inconsistent, type of surface that then after continued use just sort of broke open, almost like a blister. And then the floors are just starting to come apart in these areas. And so as we evaluated it, we realized that the floors were not installed properly. And that was contributing to flooring failure in about 80% of the hospital.
Yikes!
Yikes is exactly right. And especially since the taxpayers, were the ones who paid for this hospital, we were very alarmed, and we pursued, because this was construction fault, we pursued the folks who had put the contractor and the subcontractors who had put those floors in, and we were awarded a settlement, and that is what is paying for all of these floors to be replaced. The catch is you got to replace the floors in a working hospital. We don't have the luxury.
Right. You can't just say, sorry, we're closed.
Right. Yeah, we cannot be closed. So how are we going to do it? And we came up with a very intricate plan to do very small spaces of the hospital, sort of 1 week at the time. And we sort of juggle these and try not to be too disruptive. Of course, we have to have full infection prevention, sheets of plastic, everything sealed up, because what we're essentially doing is going all the way down to the concrete, removing all the existing flooring, preparing that concrete slab again to reinstall the flooring. So it is quite in depth. And so, but we're doing it.
And you did some already.
We did some already. We're a little over halfway through, and we'll actually, we're predicting we'll be completely finished by August of this year. But the big thing that we're doing right now for the months of January and February, which is a little bit different than we've done before. Previously, we've done a little tiny bit of the emergency department, or a little tiny bit of the third floor inpatient units, at the time. Now we really can't do a little tiny bit because we're in the OR section, and we just need to do whole ORs at the same time. So we've divided things into half. So we have half the pre and post-op beds and half the ORs that we shut down at one time. Do all of those in January, and then in February we flip to the other half, and then at the end of February they're all done.
And that does mean, however, that some surgeries, not major surgeries, want to really emphasize that, but elective surgeries, things that are non-life threatening, had to be shuffled.
Right. So you're exactly right. Anything that's emergent, anything that's even urgent, we're going to take care of that. That's what we have. Half of our ORs open and half of the pre and post-op areas, and everything is very safe. We've been surveyed to that level of safety, even having that construction, right next door. But so we're taking care of patients. It is just, we just can't do the level of elective surgeries that we've done in the past. So what we're trying to do is just schedule those out. We'll get everybody taken care of, we hope, in their time frame. If not, if somebody needs something in a time frame that we can't quite deliver at PCH, we have actually moved some of those to North Lincoln.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Absolutely.
Is if necessary for timeline, you have North Lincoln. What about the Corvallis Hospital? Is that also an option?
Absolutely. We have a lot of options because we are a system. We just always try to keep people on the coast in their, close to their homes if we can. And so with the particular surgery that I'm thinking about, it was an orthopedic surgery. There was no problem just having the orthopedic surgeon in North Lincoln handle that, and we got the patient taken care of.
Wonderful. And that's always the goal, is making sure that the patient is taken care of.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about North Lincoln. Some changes here too.
Yeah, absolutely. The latest change is we have a pharmacy. I know, it's been a long time coming. We years ago we watched Bymark close, and the impact that had on our just the flow of how pharmacy services worked in Lincoln City. Then we said, oh, wow, during COVID, when things didn't run so smoothly with pharmacies, and, we saw closures sometimes when they just didn't have enough people. We saw backups, especially in Safeway when you're shopping and you see these lines at the pharmacy just sort of wrapping around the stores. And then as the pandemic resolved, a lot of the staffing issues didn't resolve, and the pharmacies themselves became more destabilized. So that just pointed out to us, wow, we have a real problem. And, we didn't want to see this area become a pharmacy desert. So we started on plans to provide pharmacy services. And it's not a service line we've had on the coast previously, but it is a service line that we're good at across Samaritan because we've had pharmacies
So you weren't starting from scratch.
Oh, no. We had people with the expertise to open pharmacies, absolutely. In fact, Megan Jones, the head of our outpatient retail pharmacies, came from Bi-Mart.
Oh.
She was one of the pharmacist casualties, when that closure occurred, and she had oversight of many Bi-Mart pharmacies, so it was just natural for her to move over to Samaritan and bring that expertise with her.
All right. Anything else you want to add about the two hospitals or Samaritan Services, the foundations?
Yeah, we're working on lots of projects. We always have projects going on, right? And so I think the next biggest one that people are looking to see open is the STARS program. It's the Substance Treatment and Recovery Services. That one is located in Newport because it's an old adult foster care facility that the health district purchased. And then, of course, an amazing amount of donors came together, from the feds to the state to so many locals, two of our local tribes. Everybody came together to raise almost $12 million to get this thing remodeled and built on additional programmatic space. And then our commitment from Samaritan is, if we build it, we're going to run it.
Good.
So we have an opening date, and again, fingers crossed, like this is all, I hate to even say it out loud, right? Because you're thinking, is construction going to go flawlessly? Is everything going to fall into place? But our idea is that at the end of May, we complete construction. June is that time you run around, you get all the computers connected, you get the kitchen up and running, you get all your staff, in there and feeling good about where everything is. And then July 7th, that first day after the holiday week, prior, then that is when we're hoping to have the doors open and have our first residential customers.
Do you already have, Lincoln County is hit very hard, as you know, with substance abuse. Fentanyl is rapid, and it's killing people. Do you already have people kind of lined up, ready to go in?
Right. You're exactly right. We've been actually semi-recruiting people in the background, so to speak, for years now, because especially some people who work for us already went and got their certifications in the background, knowing that this was going to open up and knowing that they wanted to shift focus. I'm a healthcare provider over here, but my calling is really over here, and this is what I want to do. So we've had some of those folks who we already know are in the pipeline. We've got a handful more, of course, to hire, and it is a nail biter, right? Do you have the expertise? Can you get the expertise, in a sort of short period of time? But we also have the ability to open slowly too. If we can't quite get all of the healthcare workers, in a big bang, then we'll do with what we've got, and we'll continue to add on. And but so far, we have found some extraordinary people. And so, yes, exactly. Our pharmacy that we opened was a nail biter as well. Can we get, the pharmacists, the pharmacy techs, because all of these are hard to hire positions. And we did it. It sort of came right up to the wire, but we did it. And so we're hoping the same thing will happen with STARS.
That's going to be phenomenal. Is housing a big issue when it comes to hiring all across the Samaritan districts?
Yes. I think the coast is probably some of the worst, just as far as the median price for a home, and then the rental situation where we just don't have enough fair priced rentals for our workforce. And so, yes, absolutely. We've had people start with us and then later come back and say, I just couldn't settle a housing situation, so I have to go somewhere else, which is just heartbreaking. So absolutely, we have a bulletin board that we put together that local property owners submit information to us, and we try to help facilitate housing for all of our people. But it is always a challenge.
And what about childcare? That's another big issue. More and more families are having to work, and it's difficult when your kid is not potty trained. And I know Samaritan has the child care center.
We do. We're very lucky
City.
in Lincoln City. Probably the place that needed it the most years and years ago. The foundation, the city, and Samaritan all partnered to create a Samaritan Early Learning Center. And unfortunately, it hasn't been a program that we've been able to tweak so that we can reproduce it over and over again, but it's been very successful in itself in that we have actually one of a handful of quality awards that's given for early learning centers across the state. We've received that. We have maximized what we can do. We're one of the few places that takes infants. And so
I think, there's
just not that many. So
other than in-home care providers, I can't think of one facility.
Right. So we do have lots of waiting lists and things along those lines, but we try to do everything we can to take kids. And we have over 90 in that center right now and are looking to expand if we can get some funding, from the state to do so. So lots of things happening with the Early Learning Center, and we want to continue to be, that source of childcare for our community.
And there's also the Education Center in Newport. That seems to be going really well.
Yeah, a few little changes to that. That's very exciting to me, actually. So we've had this Center for Health Education that's right across 9th Street from the hospital, faces the hospital, sort of its back is on Highway 101. That has just been a source of amazing health information that we can bring to our community. But over time, we looked at the usage, and although it's used quite a bit, it still sits empty a majority of the time. If you just look at every single hour, it could possibly be open. And so what we decided, we've always had a restriction on it that, okay, we just want health related things to go on here. So as people would approach us from the community for this event or that event, we said, well, if it's not health related, we really can't do it here. But now we're going to broaden that. We really want it to be a community resource for people, not just for healthcare. So we will be broadening that. In addition, we are pursuing a commercial kitchen license because we know that's a very big need in the community. And we have this resource that's essentially sitting there empty. So we hope for some very small fees, just to make sure we can clean the place and, keep it going, that we can become more for the community.
And of course, health related items would be top of the list.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, always. We want it to continue to be the Center for Health Education, but if it can do some of the community functions that are so important to just make sure our community ends up being, top performer. We absolutely want to be a part of that.
That's fantastic. Let's see, is there anything else going on?
Let's see, my goodness.
Oh, the walk-in clinics, how are they doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, they are actually busier than ever. And we just added an additional provider at our North Lincoln location that's on Highway 101, just out of need. What we saw happen was Adventist Clinic shut down. They had both primary care and urgent care. And when that shut down, we all of a sudden, within a month became the only game in town. And so we're really trying to step up and make sure that we can handle that. We still, have only so many slots in a day to see patients. And so occasionally we will say, we don't have any more time today. Can we book you tomorrow, or suggest that people find other care in that day. But we try our darndest to get everybody in.
And it is really important. And the staff there at both locations, they're so helpful. They're under a lot of stress in dealing with people who are coming in that are, sick, they're upset, they want relief right now.
Mm-hmm.
Urgent means right now.
Exactly.
And they do a great job.
Well, thank you. I know they will love to hear that, because that's exactly what they do every day. They wake up and they try to figure out how they can make a difference in so many people's lives. And what I like, because I've used the urgent care before, and what I appreciate is that when I go in, and I try to go in like first thing in the morning, or right after the lunch, and they will say, okay, we have X many people ahead of you, come back at. Right. And I appreciate that, because when you're feeling sick, the last thing you want to do is sit in an emergency room waiting room, or sit in an urgent care waiting room with a mask on, just for your own protection, feeling poopy, and right. And when you could be at home in bed. Right. Exactly. And comfortable, and then get up and go in. Yes. And we actually have one more tool related to that. It's a piece of software that works within MyChart. So if you have used Samaritan before for anything, you can get a MyChart account. And within that MyChart account is a tool called On My Way. And what you can do is you can go into that tool and you can see every urgent care across the entire Samaritan system, but especially on the coast, right? We like to look at our Newport and Lincoln City, depending on which one you might be closest to at the time. And you can see how they're booking out through the day. You can even reserve a spot. Oh, if there is a spot, really, you do not have to show up in person anymore. So you know when you're going to go in that day, and it is day by day. You cannot reserve, ahead of time. But it's just so powerful to help with patient satisfaction and all of the things that you discussed. We're trying very hard to make sure that we can get on top of some of that, some of the waiting. Other changes. We are now, I think, almost all computerized with scheduling for people who have a declared PCP. They can go in and schedule their appointments online. Oh, nice. So that is a big change that has happened over the last couple of years. And then another tool that we absolutely love is called FastPass. And what that is it sounds like Disneyland. I know, doesn't it? And it works very similarly. So if you make an appointment with someone and it's scheduled, further out than you would like, right? There is, you can sign up to be sort of on the waiting list, on the FastPass waiting list. And if a sooner appointment becomes available, it'll text you and say, do you want this appointment? And you can grab it. Nice. And my dentist has that, and I really like it. Absolutely. It makes a huge difference, especially if you have been scheduled and it's just too long. And so go ahead, schedule the appointment, take the one you've got, but then ask to be put on the FastPass wait list, and then you can get those notifications as sooner appointments become available. That's fantastic. I love that Samaritan is kind of keeping up with the times when it comes to technology. Right. Because they were always changing. There will always be those people who want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. That is absolutely still true. But technology, is a way to go if you can, and if that's something you're comfortable with. All right. Dr. Ogden, anything else you'd like to add? I think we just, I wanted to throw a little, nicety out there for our robotic assisted surgeries that we started it hasn't even been a year now because we started last April in Newport. And so that is enabling us to do some appropriate surgeries. Not everything qualifies for robotic assisted, but it is surgeries in the area of urology, general surgery, and even OBGYN surgeries. Allows us to do them more precisely with less blood loss and increased visualization in some cases. And so our surgeons are really getting to know that Da Vinci robot and really loving it. And of course, patients love it when their recovery time is decreased, when they have less blood loss and reasons to have prolonged recovery. So to reduce that recovery time and make it a little bit safer for them in some surgery settings, and we don't have to send people away again to get that surgery somewhere else. We can do it right here on the coast.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
I know that we would be here talking about these resources in our critical access hospitals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Ogden, thank you so much for meeting with me today and giving us a great update about the Samaritan hospitals. We deeply appreciate it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Kiera Morgan. Coffee with Kiera is sponsored by The Human Being in Newport at 6th Street and Highway 101 and in Lincoln City on the north end of town. It's on the west side of the highway. You'll find them next to TLC Credit Union. Thanks for joining me for Coffee with Kiera. I'm Kiera Morgan.